Your money is being quietly wiped out. Here's something that should keep you up at night. The guy who is literally in charge of America's money, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, just stood up in public and said we are in the middle of a complete overhaul of the global money system. Not a reporter, not a conspiracy guy on YouTube, the actual official, on the record, in plain English. And almost nobody caught it, because the last time the world went through something like this, the rules of money changed overnight, permanently. And the people who didn't understand what was happening, they lost decades of wealth, quietly, slowly, without a single headline warning them. I'm going to break this down for you step by step. And I promise, by the end of this video, you'll see the financial world completely differently. Stay with me. Well, this is one of the most important things I've ever explained. Before we talk about what's breaking, let me show you what was built. Back in 1944, with World War II still raging, leaders from 44 countries flew to a tiny town in New Hampshire called Bretton Woods. Their job? Design the money system for the entire world after the war. And what they built was actually kind of brilliant. Here's the deal they struck. Every country's currency would be tied to the US dollar. And the dollar itself? It was backed by gold. 1 ounce of gold equaled exactly $35, no exceptions. This meant governments couldn't just print money whenever they felt like it. You needed gold to back it up. That kept things honest. The result? The 1950s and early 1960s. The most stable, widespread middle-class prosperity America has ever seen. Well, not a coincidence. The money system had rules, and those rules held. But here's where things went sideways. And this is the part that directly connects to your bank account today. The day the rules broke. One TV announcement changed everything, and most people missed it. By the late 1960s, the US was burning through cash. Vietnam was expensive. New government programs were expensive, and the government started issuing way more dollars than it had gold to back them up. France noticed. France said, wait a minute, we want our gold. Other countries lined up. The US gold reserves started draining fast. So on August 15th, 1971, President Nixon went on national TV, interrupting a popular Western show, and just changed the rules. The dollar was no longer backed by gold, effective immediately. He called it temporary. Now, that was 54 years ago. From that moment on, the dollar was backed by nothing but trust. And the government could create as many dollars as it wanted, which is exactly what it did. Gold, which was $35 an ounce that day, shot to over $800 an ounce by 1980. People who held gold, generational wealth. People who held cash, generational loss. Now here's why I'm telling you all this history, because right now, the same pattern is playing out again. And the guy running the Treasury just admitted it, what the Treasury Secretary actually said. 4 words that most people heard, but almost nobody understood. Scott Bessent, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, the person legally responsible for managing America's finances, recently said this publicly. We are in a Bretton Woods Realignment. 4 words, massive implications. Well, a Bretton Woods Realignment means the foundation of the global money system is being restructured. The rules about how currencies relate to each other, how trade gets settled, what assets countries hold as savings, all of it is up for renegotiation. He didn't say this by accident. He's not a guy who misspeak. He's the person architecting this shift on behalf of the U.S. government. And here's what makes this different from the usual political noise. He's saying the quiet part out loud, which means this isn't a theory. This is stated policy. So what exactly are they doing? There are 3 moves happening right now, and together they will affect the value of everything you own. The 3 big moves. Move 1, they're shrinking the dollar on purpose. The U.S. government believes the dollar is too strong. Well, not strong as in good. Strong as in it makes American factories uncompetitive, kills manufacturing jobs, and drives trade deficits. Their target? A 20 to 40% drop in the dollar's value. That's not a projection. That's the plan, according to the White House's own economic council. What does that mean for you? If you have $100,000 in savings and the dollar drops 30% in value against the rest of the world, your money now buys what $70,000 used to buy. The number in your account doesn't change. Your purchasing power does. Move 2, they're loosening the guardrails on the financial system. After the 2008 financial crash, strict rules were put in place to stop banks from taking crazy risks. The current administration is rolling those back, calling them overregulation. Oh, and here's the problem. The 2008 crash happened because of exactly the kind of risk-taking those rules were meant to prevent. Removing the rules doesn't make the risk go away. It just moves the consequences from the banks to you. Move 3. Tariffs are being used to rebuild American manufacturing. The idea? Make imported goods more expensive so American-made goods become competitive again. Factories come back, jobs come back, the trade deficit shrinks. The catch? You pay higher prices for everything right now. The payoff, if it works, comes years or decades down the road. Here's the part that should make your stomach drop. These 3 moves aren't random, they form a complete strategy. And they're already in motion, which means your savings are already being affected, whether you know it or not. The silent wealth transfer. Oh, nobody's stealing your money, they're just making it worth less. Here's the thing about inflation and currency depreciation. It doesn't feel like losing money, until one day it does. The people who saved diligently in the 1970s, kept their money in the bank, earned their 3% interest, they weren't doing anything wrong. But inflation was running hotter than that. Their real return was negative, year after year, silently. They didn't feel broke on a random Tuesday. They felt it when they tried to retire, when they tried to buy a house, when they realized their savings couldn't do what they'd always assumed it would. The dollar has lost more than 90% of its purchasing power since 1971. Not in a crash, not in a single event, slowly, consistently, compounding every single year. Oh, now here's what's different today. The government isn't hiding this. They're announcing it. A 20 to 40% depreciation is a publicly stated goal. That's a 20 to 40% cut to the real value of every dollar-denominated account in America. So what are the smartest money managers in the world doing about this? Here's what the data says, and this is where it gets really interesting. What the rest of the world is quietly doing. When governments worldwide make the same move, pay attention. Central banks around the world, the people who manage national treasuries, have been buying gold at record levels. Over 1,000 tons last year alone, multiple record-breaking years in a row, and this isn't some fringe trend. Poland, China, India, Brazil, Turkey, Kazakhstan, most countries with completely different political systems and economic situations, all arriving at the same conclusion at the same time. Meanwhile, the dollar's share of global reserve currencies has dropped from about 71% in 2001 to under 58% today. A slow but steady shift away from holding dollars as the foundation of national savings. Countries are building alternative payment systems that don't require going through US dollar channels at all. These aren't conspiracy moves. These are risk management decisions made by the people who understand monetary systems better than anyone on the planet. And when the people who manage national money supplies decide to reduce their dollar exposure and buy physical assets instead, that is a signal worth taking seriously. Well, now I want to give you the two scenarios for how this plays out, because one of them is really bad, and knowing which direction we're heading could be the most important financial decision you ever make. Two paths. Choose which one you're prepared for. Scenario A, the smooth ride. The dollar drops gradually over years. Manufacturing slowly comes back. Trade deals get renegotiated. Inflation stays elevated but manageable. People who hold a mix of assets, including things that hold real value, come out okay. People sitting in pure cash lose ground but slowly. Scenario B, the rough one. The pace gets out of control. Other countries retaliate with their own currency moves. Inflation spikes faster than the Fed can handle. Financial deregulation creates the exact kind of reckless risk-taking it historically always creates. While asset prices go haywire, what was supposed to be a managed shift becomes a crisis. Here's what history teaches us. Monetary transitions almost never follow the smooth plan. The 1971 Nixon Shock wasn't a managed transition. It was a surprise TV announcement on a Sunday night that restructured the global money system without warning. The consequences: runaway inflation, dollar freefall, gold skyrocketing from $35 to $800, played out chaotically over a decade. The people prepared before it happened, they built generational wealth. The people who held cash and waited to see what happened, generational loss. But this time, unlike 1971, you're getting advance warning. The Treasury Secretary is literally telling you this is happening. So what do you actually do with that information? Well, 3 risks and 3 opportunities. Risk 1, the cash trap. Holding your savings in cash or a basic savings account during a period of deliberate dollar depreciation is not playing it safe. It is a guaranteed slow loss. A savings account earning 3% while inflation runs at 5% and the dollar drops 20% over 3 years, you're not preserving wealth. You are watching it evaporate while it looks fine on paper. The people who think cash is the safe move right now are, technically speaking, the most exposed to the exact risk the government is creating. Risk 2, false diversification. Owning 500 stocks sounds diverse, but if they're all priced in dollars and the dollar drops, you have a currency problem, not a stock problem. Understanding what currencies actually drive the value of your investments is not optional knowledge anymore. Oh, risk 3, waiting for certainty. By the time the transition is obvious to everyone, the opportunity has already passed. In 1971, the people who bought gold at $35 before Nixon's announcement didn't know the exact date. They understood the direction. Knowing the direction matters more than knowing the timing. Opportunity 1, hard assets. Gold, silver, physical real estate, productive land. These are things whose supply can't be expanded by a government printing press. They've maintained purchasing power across every currency depreciation in recorded history. And right now, central banks worldwide are loading up on them. Opportunity 2, domestic manufacturing and energy. If the reshoring strategy even partially works, so the companies and infrastructure built to serve a revived American manufacturing base will see demand that current valuations haven't priced in yet. Opportunity 3, geographic diversification. Economies that export commodities benefit automatically when the dollar weakens. They get more dollars per barrel of oil, per ton of copper, per ounce of gold. Exposure to those economies is a structural hedge against dollar depreciation. Here's your practical playbook. 3 things you can actually do with this information. Your practical framework. Step 1, know your real dollar exposure. It's not about where a stock is listed. It's about what currencies generate the actual cash flows. A U.S. listed company earning 40% of its revenue overseas has a very different dollar exposure than it appears. Do the homework. Step 2, hold some real assets. The exact percentage depends on your situation, but long horizon institutional investors typically hold 5 to 15% in hard assets as insurance. Not as the whole portfolio, insurance. Think of it like car insurance. You're not betting your car gets totaled. You're making sure that if it does, you're covered. Step 3, don't try to time it perfectly. The transition is already in progress. The Treasury Secretary said so. Central bank data confirms it. Reserve currency numbers document it. You don't need to predict the exact moment. You need to be positioned for a direction that is already stated policy. The people who understood the change before it showed up in asset prices, in every prior episode, were the ones who came out ahead. The people who waited for certainty came out behind. Well, understanding the mechanism is the edge, and right now, the mechanism is being described out loud by the people running it. The rules of money are changing. That's not a prediction. That's a quote from the U.S. Treasury Secretary. The question isn't whether this is happening. The question is whether you're positioned for it, or whether you're going to look back in 5 years and wish you'd paid attention when someone laid it all out for you. If this video opened your eyes, share it with one person who needs to hear it. And if you want to go deeper on what to actually do about all of this, my next video walks through exactly that. Subscribe so you don't miss it. I'll see you there.